There is speculation, of course, that it's John Jones.
No, it's not.
Was John
Ever, which I told you guys 100,000 times, was John Jones even remotely in my mind to fight at the White House.
I'm so pissed off.
Dana White has said on Saturday, we absolutely did not talk to him. I didn't want him on. That's not true.
Then Dana going, yeah, just so you guys, I kept telling you guys, we never were negotiating with John. That's not true. I know for a fact that is not true. John was in heavy negotiations.
Why is the UFC not giving John the respect he deserves financially? That's crazy to me.
I gotta say this, bro, I kind of felt bad for him. Because it just seemed like he wanted to fight on that card bad.
And for John Jones to go out like this after all these negotiations, these back and forths, and just kind of embroiled in what he is, like, it is a bit of a shame.
Is it fair to say then John Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
Yes.
Okay.
Very fair.
So, the White House card was officially announced last weekend at UFC 326, and there was no appearance from John Jones on that lineup. Instead, Alex Pereira was booked to face Cyril Gane for the interim heavyweight title, which came as a bit of a surprise since Jones and Pereira had been calling each other out over the past few months. When Pereira vacated his belt last month, Ariel Helwani reported that the UFC had been in discussions with John Jones about a potential fight against Pereira at the White House.
Alex Pereira is no longer the light heavyweight champion, and I can tell you right here and now that there have been some talk of him fighting John Jones. And there have been talks of him fighting John Jones on the White House card. John Jones on the White House card is not dead.
And the following day at a random event, John Jones confirmed that he was in negotiations with the UFC, and he made it seem like his dream was about to come true.
I'm in negotiations with the UFC about this White House thing as well. Very, very, very proud American, and I cannot wait to represent one more time.
John, are you going to be fighting on the... Everybody's asking, are you going to be fighting on this White House card?
However, despite all that speculation, in the end the UFC decided to go with Cyril Gane, and Dana White criticized reporters for pushing the John Jones rumors during fight week, claiming that Jones was never considered for the White House card.
There is speculation, of course, that it's John Jones.
No, it's not.
Was John
Ever, which I told you guys 100,000 times, was John Jones even remotely in my mind to fight at the White House. I wouldn't. First of all, I've told you why I wouldn't do it. And number two, some guy with, meta glasses on filmed him talking about his hips, that his hips are so bad.
I have severe arthritis. And most people don't know that. My left hip was covered in arthritis.
Damn.
I actually already qualified for a hip replacement.
And I don't know if you guys saw that flag football game where he can barely run.
All right, let's kick it down to Schmoes with Linnea Bryant.
Deep. Oh, wow.
And before
John Jones he retired because of his hips. He's got arthritis in his hips. Apparently he's been, doctors say he should have hip replacement. So add that on top of all the other reasons that I wouldn't. The John Jones thing is bullshit.
Is it fair to say then John Jones is retired and this is the end of his time?
Yes.
Okay.
Very fair.
Dana White even went on to reveal that he went the extra mile, personally texting John Jones' team that he will never ever fight at the White House.
I'm not saying they weren't talking to John Jones and that John Jones wasn't interested in the fight. And what was even crazier is John Jones came out and was like, I'm in negotiations right now for the White House fight, after I had already sent a text to his lawyer saying, never gonna happen ever.
John Jones would send out a series of tweets after Dana White's press conference on Saturday night, claiming that Dana was lying, that he had been in talks with the UFC, and questioning why he was being thrown under the bus. Jones then went live on Instagram the following morning, sounding depressed about the whole situation.
I'm so pissed off.
The following day, Zuffa Boxing hosted an event, and during the post-fight press conference, Dana White responded to John Jones's tweets, doubling down on his original comments.
And I stress, the UFC 100% negotiated with John Jones to be a part of this card. John Jones wanted something similar to what he was offered last year to fight Tom Aspinall. They were more comfortable with something similar to what they gave Conor Benn very recently. And that was the impasse.
Once again, John Jones fired back at Dana White on X with a lengthy statement. In the tweet, Jones claimed he had been in negotiations with the UFC for the White House event, but felt insulted by the lowball offer they presented. He also confirmed that the arthritis in his hip is real and painful, but said it doesn't mean he can't fight, as he had undergone stem cell treatment the week before in preparation for his White House training camp. Jones went on to say that after everything he's done for the UFC over the past decade, hearing Dana White call him done was disappointing, and he requested to be released from his contract if they truly believe his fighting days are over. As of now, Dana White has not responded to that request, but Ariel Helwani confirmed on his show that Jones had asked for $30 million to fight Alex Pereira, while the UFC's maximum offer was $15 million.
John was in heavy negotiations. I know for a fact they wanted to do John Jones Poatan at light heavyweight. That was their initial idea. These negotiations have been going on for a very long time. And then John wanted compensation. You know, he wanted that same 30 mil that he was going to get to fight Tom Aspinall, which he turned down. And they didn't want to play that ball game. So then you get Poatan Cyril Gane. Look at the way they treat him. His arthritis in his hip. Guy can't even fight anymore. You see him run in that football game? That's the greatest fighter ever, who has begged and pleaded to fight on the White House card, and they went, nah, you're too much money.
Brendan Schaub said on his podcast that he knows for a fact that Dana White is lying, and that John Jones had been in negotiations with the UFC for a very long time.
Dana's been pretty much honest. Now, as far as, and then he kind of clarified his John Jones comments about, you know, that he was never going to be on the card. I don't know if that's true, because there was a negotiation there also as well, right? It just kind of didn't go anywhere after a while. He said that none of these guys were supposed to be on the card. I don't know how accurate that is with Bones, because I felt like that was kind of the fight they wanted to make. They couldn't get there, and that then fell apart. So then they moved on to other stuff. Now, one thing I will say, though, is I do believe when I got that call on Wednesday, they were talking to everybody. So that's why when he says nobody, you know, these guys weren't supposed to be on the card, I believe that.
John Jones's manager, Malki Kawa, reacted to Dana White's comments on the Onik and Florian podcast. Kawa stated that the UFC's original plan was to have Alex Pereira face John Jones at the White House.
My reaction to that, and this is going to probably be crazy to a lot of people listening, but why is the UFC not giving John the respect he deserves financially? That's crazy to me. If anyone should be getting paid a lot in this sport, it should be John Jones for the stuff that he's done. And that's me. That's me saying that. After the history that I've had with John Jones. If anybody should be getting money in this sport, it's John Jones. Well, they offered him $30 million to fight me, so why have they not offered it again? I don't understand.
Even John Jones's rivals, Tom Aspinall and Francis Ngannou, have both expressed support for him. Aspinall believes the UFC should be paying Jones what he truly deserves.
But I would say at least he deserves a better treatment, right? For what he have done for the sport, for the company, for everything. I think even me, I want to fight Jones, but I still respect him for what he have done for the sport. That's quite obvious, right?
Francis Ngannou tweeted, "I have lots to say, but for now, Johnny boy, if you manage to get your freedom, let me know. You deserve that $30 million after everything you've done for the sport, and they should be rolling out the red carpet for you." Ngannou is set to fight on the Ronda Rousey vs. Gina Carano card, and at the press conference, he was asked about his thoughts on John Jones, sharing his supportive stance. Jake Paul, who is now partnered with Netflix's first ever MMA event, invited John Jones to join, saying he would get paid what he truly deserves.
John Jones, the UFC. Would you sign him to an MVP card for an MMA fight?
Yeah, 100%, John. You're always welcome to come over to MVP. We'll get it popping, and we'll get you paid what you deserve. We're just focused on fighters first and making as big of events as possible and disrupting the space. But I guess, yes, at the end of the day, we are competitors to the UFC now and Zuffa boxing. So they're going to be competitive and we're going to be competitive. There's a lot of tension out there in the MMA world and a lot of fighters who want better opportunities. I think that's what we're going to be able to prove with this event is big viewership, big money, giving another option to fighters out there in the MMA world of a good place to go.
But now that Dana White considers John Jones retired due to his injuries, will the UFC release him from his contract? Daniel Cormier believes there's zero chance, especially with Netflix entering the combat sports scene. The UFC doesn't want to risk Netflix booking Ngannou vs. Jones super fight.
What's the percentage chance you give John at getting a release from the UFC?
He's not getting released.
So you're saying
I think it's 0% he gets released. But where is he going to fight? Francis
a long time
is fighting MMA. Okay, yeah, maybe, but yeah. So hey, with that though, there's no way you can release Jones because then if Jones and Francis can be made outside of the UFC, that's you giving someone power. Yeah. You can't let him go. There's no way that he could actually fight anywhere else or be released. No, I don't think he's getting released.
Michael Bisping, MMA fighter, and Dana White appeared today on the UFC YouTube channel, where they discussed several fights. They also talked about the White House card, expressing that entity, athlete, Alex Pereira, MMA fighter, versus Cyril Gane, then Pereira versus John Jones. Interview 14. So, what's your take on the entire John Jones released from his UFC contract, given that Dana White fight between Jones and Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to do when we were building this card, put on fights that actually mean something in the division. What's your opinion of Cyril Gane and Alex Pereira?
Well, truly, I think it's a better fight than Alex Pereira versus John Jones. I know a lot of people wanted that. But you got to think that John Jones probably would have just tried to wrestle him. We saw that last week with the BMF. We're going to see Cyril Gane and Alex Pereira having a world-class kickboxing match. And I know we hate to say this because he's kind of cursing it, but I guarantee that is going to be a ridiculous fight.
Yeah, I used to always have a guarantee that there were certain fights you saw that you're like, it's impossible for this not to be good. And then the BMF title happened, last week. But, Pereira and Cyril Gane is very interesting. I never loved Pereira moving up to heavyweight, but he wants it bad. This guy always wants to fight. Cyril Gane moves like a middleweight. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, especially coming off the performance right up until the eye poke that he had, against Tom Aspinall. So it's a fun fight. It's obviously very interesting. And if Alex can win this fight, first 3-division champ ever.